started to not want to be alive and want to sort of gamble with my life. And then it all sort of started to go downhill. I'm lying in intensive care.
Who is Ben Branson?
Yeah, it's a good question, Abbey. Sometimes I don't actually know.
Ben Branson,
a successful neurodivergent entrepreneur and founder of Seedlip,
the world's first non-alcoholic spirit.
The number one reason why people keep drinking non-alcoholic drinks is because they taste nice. And I got served a really horrible mocktail in London, and then the dots started to join of like, do you know what? Why are the options so bad? I just started playing around. I wasn't trying to make any drinks. Yeah, then the Seedlip thing happened.
But before that, you struggled with addiction.
I went to boarding school when I was 7. I saw my first psychiatrist when I was 8. Left school and then it all sort of started to go downhill.
Hi, I'm Abbey Clancy and welcome to Exhibit A. Today's guest is Ben Branson, founder of Seedlip, the world's first distilled non-alcoholic spirit. Ben's journey goes beyond creating a groundbreaking brand. He's a resilient innovator who's turned personal struggles into a powerful mission. Welcome, Ben Branson. But for those of you who don't know, who is Ben Branson?
Yeah, it's a good question, Abbey. Sometimes I don't actually know. I'm a father and a lover of the natural world. I do some business projects. I like making products. I like making things better. I've got a charity. Yeah, I'm probably a pain in the arse most of the time.
Me too. But you've launched the world's first non-alcoholic distilled spirit.
Yes. Yeah, 2015, launched Seedlip, and we took that to 35 countries in like 3 years. And I did that from my kitchen to begin with on my own. It was nuts.
Why non-alcoholic? Do you drink?
So I don't drink alcohol. I also don't really socialize much either. This is not a great advert.
You sound like you got my ideal life. You live on a farm, you don't see humans when you don't want to. That's what I want to do.
But because I'm from a farming family, and when I left school, I did a cooking course. And so I love ingredients, flavor. I like growing stuff at home. And that's what I was doing in like 2013.
Yeah.
Living in this little Hansel and Gretel cottage in the woods in Buckinghamshire with my taxidermy and my dogs and just growing like lots of different herbs, and I love natural history and I like reading books. And so
You got some good quotes.
Yeah, I tell you.
Even a dead fish can go with the flow.
There you go. That's a good one. That's a good one. But I found that these old herbal remedies and distillation, I just started playing around. I wasn't trying to make any drinks. I've never set out to create a business. I've always, I guess, followed my nose rather than I need to set up a business. And so it took 2 years with Seedlip. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anything about distillation. I didn't know anything about
What is distillation?
So distillation is basically a way of extracting compounds, properties, aroma, flavor from raw materials. So I'm using really shitty, jargony industry terms there. Basically, if I put mint in through a distillation process, I can get the flavor and taste of mint.
Okay.
It can separate it out from the actual leaves. It's really cool. And I thought I was a genius when I did this, and I was hooked. So I wanted to distill everything.
Yeah.
And just fell in love with the process and I tell you, it is so magical to take something from your garden and then end up with a liquid that smells and tastes like that plant. I was just like, this is wizardry.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And then I got served a really horrible mocktail in London. I was driving. I mean, I don't drink alcohol anyway, but I was driving. I got served this disgusting drink, and then the dots started to join.
But before that, you struggled with addiction.
So I went to boarding school when I was 7. Pretty young, pretty early, too young. I think, now that I've got kids. Yeah, seven is diddy, really. But my mum went to boarding school, like that was a thing back then. Did well academically and sport-wise at school, but I got in some trouble, started seeing psychiatrists, got bullied, but I was all right. I could get through because I was really good at sport, and that made me popular.
Yeah.
Just because I was in the sports teams, and academically I had no problems. So I kind of could get by. They kept me in the school and they excluded me a few times, but they basically kept me at school because I was good at sport.
Yeah.
Left school, and then it all sort of started to go downhill. I went off traveling. I started using drugs. And then I started to not want to be alive and want to sort of gamble with my life. And that went on in and out of rehab, 7-year period, until I got to, 25. And I'm lying in intensive care in a really, really horrible hospital in India, having run away with a wonderful lady that I met in rehab that I decided I wanted to marry, and that we were going to go and live in India. Anyway, she saved my life, and I have been clean since then. So like 16 years, and have obviously then sort of done everything. I then joined a cult in Thailand.
What kind of cult?
Yeah, it was sort of this weird yoga, like tantra, weird cult run by this ginormous Romanian guy who's like, I don't know, he's about 6'6" and about as wide. And we lived on this island for like 6-7. Well, I spent some time in silence at the base, the foothills of the Himalayas, after I came out of intensive care, and decided, right, I'm just going to live, and I'm going to do this. Then went up to Rishikesh up in the north, ate rice, chanted, was in silence for probably about 4 or 5 months.
In silence for 5 months? I can't be in silence 5 seconds.
You just have, listening to me rabbit on about
what was that
ashrams.
like?
Yeah, that was immensely cleansing and healing and effective.
But isn't your mind working overtime when you're in silence, or do you quieten your mind as well as your...
Everything slows down, and life was so simple.
Yeah.
I didn't have to choose what I needed to eat. I didn't have to choose what I needed to do. It was really simple, lots of yoga, chanting. So it's not like I wasn't using my voice, but it was only using it, a few times a day. And that was pretty powerful, I think.
Yeah.
And then went to Thailand, adopted a 3-legged dog and a cat called Coconut that we ended up bringing back from Thailand. And then it was kind of like, right, real world time.
Yeah.
Enough of this gallivanting around. And so I went into the design industry and got my first job, 25, first proper job, 17 grand. And I left that business 3 years later on 70 grand, presenting to all these huge clients, all this, brand design, all this stuff. Went and worked with Nike's charity in Africa. So took a team of African heritage teenagers from the UK to Rwanda, Nigeria, and Ethiopia.
Wow.
We did, it was amazing. That was like a 9-month project, like a creative insight research project. And then came back, moved to the Hansel and Gretel cottage.
The same one?
Yeah. The same. No. Moved to it. And then the Seedlip thing happened.
What was the turning point where you thought, I need to get back into the real world though? Because for a lot of people listening who, live in a mundane, stressful, every day is the same kind of life, that sounds quite spiritual and magical, like that kind of traveler life.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'd love to do that.
I sort of felt like, for me, it was necessity rather than choice. So, yeah, I wasn't in a good place. And so I had to
Find yourself.
really work on myself to then, you know, of course, you're like, well, I haven't got any money. I need to get back to the real world and get a job and be an adult and get on with my life.
Can you break that down? Like that kind of journey to fix yourself, heal yourself, self-discovery again for anyone listening who is struggling with addiction or trying to overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely didn't have a plan. That's the first thing to say. I didn't have a plan. I did loads of different things, I think. One was, and this is on reflection, I moved my body and I got in touch with my body. And yoga, for example, was a great way to do that. I changed my diet and made that either incredibly simple, and I'm not suggesting people eat rice for 4 months on its own, but
I don't even like rice.
don't you?
It really pisses my husband off.
Rice is great. It's just a carrier.
I don't like it. So like if I make, you know, and kebabs or whatever, nice healthy kebabs, not.
Yep.
He's like, oh, can I have some rice? And I don't buy it because I don't like it. It really annoys. Must do more rice. Must make more rice.
Rice is great. I'd had lots of therapy. Yeah, I saw my first psychiatrist when I was 8. So
Why were you seeing a psychiatrist at 8 years old?
Because I was bullied. And I'd started smashing windows and they wanted to figure out what was going on and they couldn't. So I know, obviously at this time, I didn't know that I was autistic. I didn't know I was ADHD. Nobody knew, no one flagged it.
Sure.
Etc. But yeah, Thailand was, you know, having a great diet, doing some fasting, yoga, you know, you're on an island where getting your body moved around by a physio Thai massage wise was amazing. I did my Reiki course there. I got fully in touch with the fact that I got kind of healing hands, and that was really amazing. So it was very spiritual. I'm not actually as spiritual now as the extremes, I guess I took it to.
Yeah.
And I think you don't need to go to Thailand or the foothills of the Himalayas to do some work on yourself. You don't need to escape to do that work. And so all I would say is you don't need a plan. You don't need to figure it all out. Just be fucking a bit kinder to yourself. Like that is the simplest. I took all the energy I'd used to try and destroy myself, which was a real force, a real load of energy that was really negative. And ultimately I've just changed tracks like with the train and put all of that bundle of energy into trying to improve mine and my family's life. That's literally as simple as I've got it down to.
That's an incredible analogy because a lot of people would find that difficult to come up with that kind of concept, even though it's so simple.
The best book that I've read is called Brutal Simplicity of Thought. It's written by M.C. Saatchi. It's a really simple book, as you would hope.
Yeah.
And the concept is so simple. Making things simple is really difficult.
Yeah.
And takes a lot of work. So guess what? Most people don't.
Yeah.
But when you do, and literally I'm constantly in this like distillation process of making things as efficient and simple, memorable as possible, to try and constantly like boil things down, not to dumb them down, but make them just simple.
Pure.
Yeah.
That is so, I'm going to do that.
Do it. Try it.
For anyone listening to that piece of advice, which is incredible, I feel really inspired, genuinely. Where do you start?
So I have a really complex life. I've got 3 kids, loads of animals, 4 businesses, 1 charity.
Global businesses.
Yeah. Life's really complex, and I am there 9 out of 10 mornings for my kids. I'm there 9 out of 10 nights putting them to bed. So my life's really complex. So I have to make things simple. I have to drill things down, and I have to get help. I have to build capacity by, having an amazing team around me and asking for help and understanding what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. And I know that so well now, and I'm so comfortable with I'm not the best person for that. That is not what I am best at.
So are you not a control freak then? Because for some people it's kind of hard handing over the reins, isn't it?
I can't be. I say the same thing. I think we've hired, 150 people in total. I've hired 150 people. And I've said exactly the same thing to every single one of them. I start with 100% trust that I have made the right decision hiring you, because I think you're the best person for the job.
Yeah.
You don't have to earn my trust. This is not that. You are started from 100% trust. And that, number one, is really empowering for someone to hear.
Yeah.
Because it's not the norm. And number two, it means that I can instantly not have to be a control freak.
Yeah.
Because I'm going,
putting my
you're
trust
the best
in.
person for the job. You know what to do better than I do. So why would I try and get too involved in what you're doing? I've got that wrong, on a number of occasions. Trust people, they let you down, they take advantage.
Yeah.
Definitely, I know that. But I am very trusting, and that's good and bad. But I can't be another way. I've got to start from that place of trust. It's proven to me enough times that works. If you trust people, you will build capacity in your life, in your business. That means you can concentrate on doing what you're best at doing.
Yeah.
Rather than getting involved. The other thing is, I noticed that control freaks tend to get more involved in the things that they don't know about.
Yeah.
And the things they're not best at, because they're scared. And control comes from fear. So people wanting to kind of micromanage is usually driven by fear, and it's usually driven by they don't know, so they can't trust. They can't trust. Oh, it's okay. I know what she's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. That's good. I know what they're doing. They kind of go, oh no, let me see. Oh, I just want to have a look at that. I want to have a look at that. And it's a delicate balance, because you don't want to be so devoid of responsibility. You're giving everything away to everybody, but you also, I just want to treat, I believe I'm making the right decision in hiring someone, and I want to empower them to do their best work. So that's what I do.
So you created the world's first distilled non-alcoholic spirit.
Yes.
With Seedlip, from your kitchen
Yes.
to the globe.
Yes.
Basically. Can you talk me through that process and why you did a non-alcoholic beverage in what we class as an alcoholic space?
Yep.
That social space, people are drinking. You don't really go out to not drink.
So I got introduced to the buyer from Selfridges, the drinks buyer, spirits buyer, summer of 2015, by a friend of mine who'd launched their rum there. And notoriously hard to get hold of, buyers, and Selfridges, obviously very popular. Loads of people want their products in Selfridges. Anyway, the buyer came back to the email and said, I'll give you 15 minutes, but I don't like anything without alcohol in. So I'm like,
Hilarious.
Okay. But I didn't have the nice bottle of Seedlip at this point.
So this has literally come from your kitchen.
This comes from my kitchen. I've
you're
got
going to
a little
Selfridges.
sample bottle.
Yeah.
I'm taking a glass, I'm taking ice, I'm taking a bottle opener, a bottle of tonic, some pictures on my laptop, and I'm literally like walking in, holding it all, going, right, sit down, I'm going to make you a drink. And Dawn, the lady, absolutely loved it. I was like, I'll take the exclusive. I want it. And so I left that meeting. I was just like, wow, okay, didn't expect that to happen.
Wow.
Going to double my first production run. And then it sold out in 3 weeks in Selfridges. I did another 1,000 bottles and they sold out in 2.5 days. There were people queuing at 8 a.m. outside Selfridges to get a bottle of Seedlip. But so that's what you can read about, you can listen to. That's what happened. At the same time, I was fucking hating it, and I wanted to close the business, and I was totally out of my depth. I was totally stressed. I was standing there in Selfridges, day in, day out, sampling. And people were saying either, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm buying bottles. Or middle-aged men were coming up to me going, what the fuck is this? And why are you even working for this company, mate? Okay. He's like, what's the point of this? I drink alcohol all the time. Why would I want something that's non-alcoholic? And then I'd be like, it's kind of my thing. I'm the idiot. But Seedlip made people really angry. And I think it held a real mirror up to people's drinking behaviors.
Of course.
And we as a human species, change, we don't always embrace change.
Yeah.
And we can find it quite threatening. And we can react quite aggressively to that change or that mirror. And so people said some awful things about Seedlip. They also said some amazing things, but at least they said something.
Yeah. It's a completely new genre of drink.
It is. And I've got to rewind people back to 2015 when you could get a bottle of Beck's Blue.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Nothing in menus, nothing at events, nothing on the shelves. And now you've got a $50 billion category. You've got over 1,000 brands. You've got it happening globally. 92% of people are drinking alcohol and non-alcohol.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And there's choice. And that's it. That's all I want. Choice. Great choice. Grown-up drinks. Yeah.
How did your upbringing influence, your ingredients, sustainability, the power of the earth, alchemy?
Yeah, good question. So I think I'm the only person in the world who's got peas tattooed on their knuckles.
Peas?
Yeah.
Is that as in peas off like Top Boy, where it means cash?
Oh, fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, that's peas as in we farm peas.
That's what it means if you...
I haven't seen Top Boy, so...
Watch Top Boy. They talk about the peas all the time.
Do they?
The peas. Fuck. Sorry.
I remember going to San Francisco and tasting Seedlip Garden, which is the one that uses the peas, with this bartender. And he was so funny. He took it really, really seriously. And he was like, whoa, I can really taste the penis. Anyway,
Peas in a drink? That's where did you come up with that?
Well, we grew peas.
Yeah.
And so for the first 4 years, we as a team would go and hand pick the peas at harvest time from our farm.
Lovely.
And we got hay from our farm in there, rosemary, thyme, wanted something like really green, really bright, really summery, I guess. So yeah, peas that's a great example of using an ingredient. I mean, I went to Jamaica to go and track down Mr. Horatio, who was our allspice farmer for one of our products. Allspice berries are just amazing. So the idea of, choosing great produce, selecting great ingredients, being able to then extract them properly and blend them is something that I've sort of, I guess, carried forth now into my new ventures of taste. And the number one reason why people keep drinking non-alcoholic drinks is because they taste nice.
Of course.
It's that simple. And there's a lot of products out there. Some of them don't taste great. Some of them do. But I just want to make absolutely delicious liquids that people want to keep drinking.
And I think you've done that.
Okay, well, thanks.
We love it in our house.
Great.
We're a Monday to Friday, like not drinking now.
Exactly.
And then can have one on the weekend.
Yep.
But I feel like, just re-educating a nation on socialising is crazy. And I feel like the younger generation are a lot more health conscious and, they socialise in different ways, like online or...
Yep. I am fascinated by how people socialise and how we will socialise, even though I don't socialise. So I am.
How do you socialize? What's your happy place?
So I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, it's not that I hate being around people. I love socializing with my family.
Same.
Which is weird. I don't know if I've ever really thought about family socializing. And I don't mean let's get all the cousins, let's get the big family. I mean with
just your unit,
daughters and my wife.
Yeah.
And occasionally, my brothers, my mum and dad. But I want to spend my time with them. And I do not, as harsh as this sounds, I do not see the point in having friends and socializing.
What about the friends who are there for you when you're down, or you have a row with your wife and you need someone to help you or encourage you, or someone to have a laugh with?
I don't know. I grew up going, well, if you have a problem, you don't show your feelings and you keep stuff in and all that kind of stiff upper lip side. But actually, I was sitting in bed chatting to my wife last night, and I was like, actually, I feel like I'm going to cry. I'm not going to cry, but I kind of feel like I'm going to cry. And I'm totally okay with that. And it's important. It's important that my kids see
real human
mum and
emotion.
dad on a podcast when they're older, crying to each other, talking about how shit it's been with her dealing with me being autistic. That's really important, that there's that representation to show my kids that. But also I'm like, well, if I have a problem, no one else is going to sort it out. I am going to sort out. If my wife and I are having a row, I'm going to sort that out with my wife. That's, I guess, my...
Did she know you were autistic when you met?
So I met my wife when I was 20.
Oh.
And we went out for a few months, and then I went off to rehab in America, and we lost touch. And she moved to China, and then because of Seedlip, we got back together and we got back in touch.
Why? Because of Seedlip?
Because a friend of hers was doing an event and wanted to serve Seedlip. And so Sam, my wife, messaged me completely out of the blue going, hi, my friend wants to use Seedlip. How do I get some? I was like, hi. And she was always the one that got away. So yeah, she didn't know I was autistic, but then she wasn't surprised. In fact, no one was surprised when I told them that I was autistic. I sort of was the last to know. And I just had Rain Man in my head of like, that's what an autistic person is. I knew absolutely nothing about it.
So you were diagnosed at the age of 39 with ASD and ADHD. Like, what are the common traits of people who have those things?
Yeah, so autism and ADHD, I mean, there are...
I've never even heard of ASD.
Yeah, ASD is we don't say Asperger's anymore. Was the quote unquote high functioning element of being autistic. And autism spectrum disorder is like the official term, and they shorten it because everybody likes abbreviations. So yeah, ASD is autism spectrum disorder, and ADHD is ADHD. So firstly, we didn't believe, and I'm talking about we, the human species, we didn't believe they could coexist, that you could be autistic and ADHD. We didn't believe that females could be ADHD or autistic.
Wow.
We didn't believe until 2008 that anyone older than 16 could be ADHD. So we thought you got to your 16th birthday.
Disappear.
And it would disappear. Magic.
That's
like
nuts.
really wild. It wasn't in any of the psychiatry. If you were studying to be a psychiatrist, nothing about autism, ADHD, dyslexia, etc. We're only just all kind of figuring this out now. But autism typically, and I say typically with real massive like quotation marks, because every single autistic person presents differently. I can tell you how it presents for me, in that sensory, socializing, communication, probably emotion, those challenges. But then I can also tell you that I've got a photographic memory, and I'm incredibly calm in a crisis, and I can be really logical, and I've got incredible hearing. I've got really good palate. I have lots of skills that come with it too.
Yeah.
And so it's not all bad. But I'm not a computer geek. I'm not a, sort of card shark that can memorize, everybody's cards. I'm not the stereotypical autistic person in that kind of age-old stereotype side. And then ADHD, I'm very impatient. I'm impulsive. I'm a risk taker. I am a problem solver. I want to fix stuff quickly, get on with it, take action.
Fix stuff as in physical things? Or fix problems?
I mean, anything, either or. Like, I like understanding how things work. And that's being autistic, definitely, in that logic kind of piece. And then I can lose interest in things really quickly because if I'm not interested in it, ADHD-wise, then move on. I collect a lot of things. I've got a lot of high interests. And so lots of these are, if you Google, autism characteristics or ADHD characteristics, lots of the things that I've just said will chime, but it does present differently
in each individual.
And it does present differently by gender. And obviously it presents differently.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. So many girls and women have been missed and been misdiagnosed. And there's this kind of lost generation. But the stats are really shocking. And 94% of autistic kids are bullied. Suicide is the second cause of death for autistics. 85% of kids, I was telling you earlier, that are diagnosed dyslexic are really ashamed of that and think it's a really big problem.
Yeah.
We got all these exclusions happening from schools. Most of the prison system are neurodivergent and not medicated or helped.
It's like 80% of the prison capacity are ADHD or autistic, which is crazy.
And
so do you were diagnosed so late, 39, and you said you found it liberating and relieving.
Oh my God. Dr. Renato Fialo, who is the psychologist that assessed me, said, "Congratulations, Ben, you're autistic." And I didn't do the ADHD assessment to begin with. And do you know what? I really felt that. I really believed her. And it didn't suddenly make everything better. It sort of changed nothing and it changed everything. But it gave me, it's really important to me taking responsibility and taking action in life and being accountable. And most of the way you can do that is if you're informed. If you know what's going on, then you can do something about it. If you don't know, you can't.
Yeah.
And so learning that I'm autistic, whilst I sort of went definitely round the houses of, am I? Nah, come on. I don't think I am. Okay, maybe I am. Okay, maybe that makes sense. The research that I did then into it, I was like, I'm so glad I know, because I've got all these questions. Like, I don't have friends and a social life. And historically, I've been like, oh, maybe I should have a best friend because that's what you do. And I've been like, but I don't know if I need one.
Yeah. And
you should have friends because that's what society tells you to do. And you should go to the pub with your mates, and you should, and you should, and you should. But I don't really want to do any of those things, but I kind of feel like maybe I should. And so what's wrong with me that I don't want to do those things? And now I can get to a point where I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. I talk so much in my professional life, and I talk so little at home in my personal life. And that can be infuriating to my daughters and my wife. But I don't know, I just, getting assessed allowed me to take responsibility and to understand how my brain works. and to really be so much kinder to myself.
Yeah.
And then to kind of go, I want this for everyone.
Yeah.
I want to do something about this because the stats are shocking. There's lots of people suffering or misdiagnosed or undiagnosed, or loads of, 70% of neurodivergent people have mental health challenges. Like, there's loads of things this knocks onto. I want to do something about it because guess what? There's all these amazing people whose brains are
on
different.
head as well.
Yeah.
You set up your charity, the Hidden 20%,
Yep.
to give neurodivergent people a voice.
Yep.
If they're struggling in silence, not understood, misunderstood. What is your mission with that?
So we set up the Hidden 20% January this year. We want to rewrite the future for neurodivergence, and we want to do that by breaking this cycle of all the shame and the silence and the suffering. And we want to use media to do that.
Yeah.
And we want to use role models to do that. And I studied all the amazing social change movements. So Pride, the Poppy, Black Lives Matter, Me Too, Paralympics, all these climate change, and did what I do, which was simplify them and decode them. And then it's really simple.
What's the message?
1.6 billion people on this planet are neurodivergent. So you've got a massive audience. That's 1 in 5 of us. That's huge. You've got this thing called media and social media and digital media that can travel.
Yeah.
And it crosses borders, etc. Amazing. You've got huge opportunity for reach. And then you've got role models, guests on the podcast, famous people, experts who can bring this all to life and carry the message. And so that's what we've done. And it's awesome. We're reaching millions of people every week with our content. We're a little charity. We beat all the big guys at the podcast awards.
To look out for this.
Yeah, look out for the green badge. And I'm getting to have these amazing conversations and learn how to host and learn how the podcast works.
I love your podcast. It's
Thank you.
incredible. It's so insightful. And I think you're doing amazing things, like genuinely. And are you trying to get younger people diagnosed quicker? Because, there's this argument. Most of the people who've been on this podcast have been on that spectrum in some way, shape or form. And they're super successful, incredible ideas. Some of them are multimillionaires, whether you define that as successful or not.
Yep.
I worry is getting a diagnosis and then have a medication, would that take away some of the, I know you don't like the term superpower element.
But I brought on check out this for a job title, neuropsychopharmacologist.
Wow.
Let me just say that again.
Did you make that word up?
Neuropsychopharmacology. I can say it fast now because I've had to say it enough times.
Neuropsychopharmacologist.
Yeah, there you go. What a name that is. Dr. Rayan, we brought him on, and because I don't take any medication.
Yeah.
And there's this weird, especially where kids are involved, I don't want to drug my children.
Yeah.
Ethics and morals and pharmaceuticals. And I asked him, like, biologically speaking, only biologically speaking, is medication for children, ADHD-wise, a good thing biologically? And he gave a long answer that basically said, yeah, biologically, before 11, it's really actually helpful.
Really? Why?
Because it sets in motion rituals and behaviors and thought patterns and traits that will then be really, really helpful going into puberty. And so being able to, a pithy example, focus on your homework.
Yeah.
When pre-11, okay, it matters, but it doesn't really matter versus then having to revise for your GCSEs. Getting into that habit and having medication that can allow that focus can then reap amazing rewards later on down the line. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting, but still scary, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've not come across anybody yet who has had a really bad experience with the medication.
Okay.
But like you, I don't think I want to take the medication because of dulling the shine.
Everyone I know who's neurodivergent is amazing and so interesting and captivating. I think, why would you want to get rid of that? It's only for the kind of, if they're struggling, I could see why you would want to, but it's just like, I attract these people.
Yeah, but look, like attracts like, Abbey, so that's all I'm saying. But the important things to remember are this, and I'm not an expert and I'm not a psychiatrist, but the ADHD medication only works for 8 hours. So I know people who take it on days where they need it.
Yeah.
And they take it when they have to
an important meeting, I need to focus, blah, blah.
Exactly. But they don't take it all the time.
Okay.
I know parents who give their kids ADHD medication during the week, but when they're on the weekends, they don't.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think the headline is, drugging children that no one feels good about, and naughty pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's an ADHD medication shortage that has been rolling on for the last 2 years in this UK. And by the way, there are waiting lists are up to 10 years.
I can't believe that, even for an assessment, is a 10-year.
Yeah, not countrywide, but there can be.
What's your tagline? Because I love it. Can you tell
Great
us?
minds think differently.
I love that.
Yeah, but the evidence is there. You don't have to go very far to I don't really care who your heroes are. The chances are that some of them will be neurodivergent.
Yeah.
And those Little People, Big Dreams books? This is the kind of sad shit I do, Abby. I counted those. I think there's over 100 titles. But I also then went through and counted how many of them were neurodivergent, and it is 20%.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so all the Marilyn Monroe's, Muhammad Ali, Isaac Newton, Mozart, Agatha Christie, I mean, everything from like Whoopi Goldberg, Louis Capaldi, the Wright brothers that invented the airplane, Alexander Bell, electricity, Einstein, et cetera, like in any area, whether it's film, sport, look at Simone Biles, absolutely smashing it. That, for my daughter, watching Simone Biles in the Olympics has transformed her. I mean, she's 5 and she can do all these insane gymnastics because she's inspired by Simone Biles. Role models, every guest I've had on the podcast hasn't had a role model in terms of how their brain works.
Yeah.
And that's so important that, my daughters, people's young children go, that person's dyslexic and
that's cool.
And they've set up a business
or
they've written a book and yet they find spelling and words challenging.
Yeah.
There are so many, like Agatha Christie was dyslexic. She wrote some pretty fucking good books.
Yeah.
And so we need to flip this round.
Totally. Like I was saying to you, obviously, before, I was speaking to a teacher at my daughter's school and I was so impressed because she was giving me that message, what you've just said, it should be celebrated. It should be like, wow, you've got a gift.
Yep.
Let's focus on making your gift even bigger and better and making you shine more and not to get rid of that shame. And it shouldn't even be there in the first place.
It's funny, isn't it? What we do is we go, your child's ADHD. So what we need to work on is how to get him to focus.
Yeah, no, let's concentrate on the...
Your kid's dyslexic.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is really maybe a tutor on spelling.
Yeah.
And it's so the wrong way around. It's like what we should be doing is like, well, if your kid's dyslexic, I bet they're good at spotting patterns. I bet they see big picture. I bet they can join lots of kind of unseemingly incongruous dots. And I bet they're really creative. And actually, I bet they've got an amazing imagination and way with words.
Yeah.
But struggle to commit that to,
pen
a
and
spelling
paper
test or a pen and paper.
Yeah.
And so we don't like the superpower piece because it's not is sort of not true and it's too extreme.
Okay.
There are challenges, but there are also positives and benefits and skills. And I think all we've done is try and peddle the challenges and that it's a problem and that it's a mountain and there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Rather than go, there's nothing wrong with you. You're different. You've got a different brain. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You might struggle with these things, but my God, you'll excel with these things.
Of course.
So why don't we spend all our time focusing on where you're going to excel?
Just changing the narrative, isn't it? Okay, so what is next for you, Ben?
I sold the majority of Seedlip in 2019.
Okay.
And I sold it to the world's biggest spirits company, Diageo. I'm still involved, still a shareholder, still the founder, but it's freed me up to do other things. And the charity obviously is one of those things. But then we've launched 2 other drinks projects. One called Season, cocktail bitters, a bit like Angostura, easy, add them to your tonic or your alcohol cocktails or whatever. Super yummy, really, yeah.
Are you a good cook by any chance?
I am a good cook. Yeah, I am a good cook.
All these flavours.
Yeah, I am a good cook. I got a distinction in my pre-Leith cooking school.
Go girl.
When I was 18. I do. I love food. And I want people to, make as tasty drinks as possible. And these are just so easy to dash in. And then the longest project I worked on is Silver. And that is making a dark non-alcoholic spirit. Something that you can have neat, that you can sip in your nicest glass, that is in that sort of whiskey, cognac, rum kind of occasion. And so, we built this distillery and this maturation laboratory where I live. And we're taking wood from our forest.
Wow.
And there is so much flavor in wood, and I love trees. I make my kids hug the trees. I don't make them do it anymore, actually. They do it now because they like doing it. But trees are so amazing, and we know so much about trees, but not from a flavor perspective and a taste. Yeah. There are 73,000 tree species on this planet. That's nearly twice the number of edible plants. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
And
so
mad.
we are working with everything from red oak from our forest to olive wood. We've got this amazing West African wood called Padouk that is red and it smells like roasted peppers and smoked paprika and it's sort of salty. And we're distilling grain and we've developed this maturation process to age our liquids. To get all the flavor and the color and the character out of the wood. I've brought some actually with me.
I want to taste this.
And we're doing it. It's small batches.
How big's the factory?
Oh, it's tiny. The laboratory where we make this is 750 square foot. I mean, it's not.
I would love to see that.
It's not. Come and see it. It's not much bigger than this. And then we've got a wood chipper and a wood splitter, and we've got our wood store, and then we've got our maturation machines. It's small and it's extreme, but we're opening another one in New York next year and another one in Kyoto, Japan, end of next year. And so we are literally in production at the moment of our first batch.
And are you hands-on? Are you in there?
I am. I tell you, what was I doing on Friday last week? I was on the table saw with olive wood and then chipping olive wood that we then roast in our vacuum kiln, and
smells amazing in there.
Cotton and olive wood and olive oil and just yummy. So basically, there's so much flavor in wood, and there's that midweek. Hold on a minute, kids are in bed. Let's just sit down and slow down and stop for a second at the end of the day. And I've never had a product for that. I've never had something. I don't care whether you drink alcohol or not, but in the week, when you've got to get up early the next day, sipping something in a really nice glass and just taking a moment. Yeah, not that I've made it for myself, but I think that's a really amazing gap in the
Yeah.
market.
How'd you get the color then? Is that the tricky part? The
color
color
comes from the wood.
Colour comes
No
from the wood.
artificial colors.
So you wouldn't add like a dark berry or
No,
blackberry?
we don't need to. I'll tell you. I'll show you a piece of this wood, and it's red. It's like these chairs.
Yeah.
And the color that we get is from that. We don't have to add any caramel to make it all the same color. Yeah, there's no vanilla. There's no flavors. It's grain. It's wood. Our process. And it's deliciousness.
And do you have the alcoholic burn from this? Are you trying to replicate that?
So the non-alcoholic spirits, the ones that have tried to do the burn, have used chili. There's a compound within chili called capsicum, and they add. But alcohol, ethanol, and capsicum behave really differently. So everyone knows you eat spicy food, your mouth and your tongue get hot. Nothing on your chest, nothing on your throat.
Yeah.
Drink an alcoholic drink.
It's done.
It's your throat and it's your chest. And it goes up the back of your neck and it goes behind your eyes and you smell it and it goes straight up your nostrils. So they're really different. So we haven't used any capsicum, no chili, because I don't think it works. And of course,
it's not the same sensory experience, is it at all?
But you smell and taste silver after this, and it has got some weight to it. You get a warm chest, you get a warm throat. It goes up behind the eyes, goes up the back of the neck. Yeah, I'm so excited to get to learn more about trees, share this knowledge, I guess, with other people. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. We've had a lot of false starts, made lots of mistakes, made loads of mistakes last week as well. It's really difficult. No one's done it. No one's done what we're doing before. It's totally breaking new ground.
But you did it before. You did something that no one else has done and the whole world has followed. The biggest alcoholic brands in the world have followed in your footsteps with the non-alcoholic.
Yeah, and I feel zero external pressure.
Yeah.
And like I'm just getting started.
So before you go, Ben, what legacy do you want to leave with your innovative products?
All I do, and I'm sure you relate to this, Abbey, I just think about my kids. And part of the reason I'm doing the charity is so that they grow up and have a different experience than I had. And so do their friends and the people they're connected to. That's it. I just want to make my kids proud. That's it.
Well, I think I think you will, 100%. Thank you. I wish you didn't have to go. That's fabulous.
Thanks, Harry.
Thank you, and good luck with everything, the charity and Silver.
Yeah, just getting started. Like
onwards and upwards.
Yeah, onwards and upwards.
I absolutely loved today's episode with Ben. I thought he was so inspiring, so clever. Some of his concepts about, making things simple, his decision-making process, his innovative spirit. I just thought he was amazing. And, bringing out a non-alcoholic beverage in that social space where alcohol is so prevalent, re-educating the nation into mindful drinking. I think the younger generations and, even people my age are definitely more health conscious, health and wellness. We're surrounded by it in social media. So just making those positive, conscious changes to how we live and how we drink and how we socialize. It doesn't have to revolve around alcohol. And his plans for the future, bringing out his new drink, Silver. I just thought he was absolutely mega. And especially coming from, he had a tough start, bullied as a child. He struggled with addiction. He got a very late diagnosis for his ADHD and autism. And I just think it's a true story of resilience and brilliance. The one thing I feel quite jealous of Ben about is that he's got a photographic memory. Like my memory is shocking. And, I just loved his enthusiasm and his passion about his brand and what he does. And, I'm also jealous that he lives on a farm, which is something which is where I want to live. And just interviewing these people, incredible, brilliant people who are at the top of their game just really inspires me. I want to go home and think, of ways I can better myself. It's all about personal growth, this podcast. And yeah, it was fantastic.